Welcome to Movie Night. Today we're talking about Lean on Me. Lean on Me is the story of Joe Clark, and it's based on a true story of a very assertive teacher who becomes an assertive principal who is appointed to take over a school, Eastside High, I believe in New Jersey. And Eastside High is trying to pass a basic skills test school-wide in order for the state to not take over. What Joe Clark didn't foresee before he took over was the drug dealing, the miscreants that are just taking over the school. And so he cleans house. And he gets a lot of pushback. He gets pushback from other teachers, from parents. And so you push Joe, he's crazy Joe. He'll push you back, and he does. So in terms of the strength of the film, it is strong. And you start with the performance of Morgan Freeman. His performance is electric. And it's really well done here in terms of the performances, not just by him. Well, I can talk about him for a while. Every time he's on camera, he's strong. He takes over the scene. People have to step up. There's one actor that does, I think. Robert Guillaume. Remember, people, Robert Guillaume. Benson? And he was great. There's also Michael Imperioli of The Sopranos is in this. I will also want to say Eric Bogosian's in this. So these are very minor roles. It's very well cast. And the character of Guillaume stands toe-to-toe with Morgan Freeman's character, the Joe Clark character, both as the character and also as the actor. And it's really strong. Joe Clark is a person who believes in individual responsibility over where you were born, your race, your circumstances. Therefore, I don't think this movie could be made today. But it is very strong. And I will say the director is John Avildsen, who's directed Rocky and The Karate Kid. It's not on that level. And there are some really cringe-inducing video spots of as they are preparing for the big state test. There's this video montages of singing and dancing, and you cannot escape that in the 80s. So I kind of don't blame this director for doing that because it's littered in 80s films. Yeah. I know we romanticize 80s a lot, but there's some problems with 80s as well. And that's one of them. I can't fault it for that too much. Overall, I do recommend the film, and there is some authentic points of the film I want to talk about, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I sat and watched that film from beginning to end, only an hour and 45 minutes. And one of the things, I love the director because, you know what, Morgan Freeman plays this tough character like you mentioned, but there, you see some elements in the beginning. You see him as a teacher, and he's not really the same person yet. You could just see that he's a strong teacher. He's dedicated. He's a little wild. He's a little, you know, when I say wild, I mean he gets involved and he gets involved with, you know, speaking his mind even as a teacher. But as he goes through the movie, even towards the end, you see him evolving to someone who's saying, you know what, I don't have to always just with the stick or with the piss is bad, right? And I don't have to always use my bat. I could also just talk, and you see him evolving there, and I like that. And they could have just painted him as one piece, but no, he did have some layers there, and so I love the directing there. Yeah, like you shared, Ruben, the music, it kind of, I felt like very dated, but the film as a whole, no, I think it works today. I could show this to teachers, young teachers today, even administrators, because there's some things. Well, we'll talk about authenticity in a second, but there's some things I think administrators could even get something out of, as well as teachers. But as in the acting, as in what was going on with this young students that were portrayed. They were believable. And, you know, we've seen some films where the kids aren't likable, and you could say we saw some of that in the beginning of the film, but as the film goes on, these young actors, wow, they really stand out. There's this one young lady, I can't remember her name, but she is, you see just a lot of things that going on in her life.
It's interesting. There's no such thing as a character that is so unlikable in an Avildsen film that you get thrown out. Like,
Right.
think about the Karate Kid, Johnny.
Mhm.
He's an unsavory character, but we don't hate him. We enjoy disliking him.
Yeah.
Unlike Freedom Writers or some of these other movies, Teachers, where these people are so despicable,
Right.
you can't even watch it at times.
Yeah. And so this film, you like these kids. You know what it is? You're rooting for them. And as you see that this test is coming up towards the end of the film, you're like, wow, are they going to do it? Are they going to make it? And I was doing a little study after this film. He left that school like in 1991, and they eventually started doing where they actually were taken over by the state. But in the beginning, as this film, you know, before 91, this is what we see this late 80s basically, and he's been very successful, you know, but by 91, you know, the state takes it over, but Joe's not there anymore, you know, so that might be one of the reasons why they took over.
So let's talk about the part of the film that might be up for scrutiny, and that is the film authentic? So I want to talk about Guillaume versus Freeman. And there are two arguments. First of all, Guillaume confronts him. Robert Guillaume, I think he's either a superintendent or a board member, and tries to recruit him. And Morgan Freeman says, why didn't you recruit me before? Very ego-driven response.
Right.
Like, in the 60s, when we were colleagues, you've known me that long, and now you're just recruiting. By the way, I love The Expanse of late 60s, the folk, and all of a sudden the Guns N' Roses, late 80s, very cool, expertly directed. And Guillaume's response was, at one point he just rails on the Freeman character, Joe Clark, and says, your life has not made one bit of difference at the end of the day. And guess what? Neither has mine. And it was in your face. It was raw, very raw truth there. And I thought it was strong in the film. Yeah. And it didn't take us out. We didn't think Guillaume was an idiot, because Joe Clark is a really intense, very spiteful character there, and Guillaume pushes back. Second argument is in Morgan. Now he hires him years later. He's in this school, Eastside High. And Joe Clark fires the choir director and the English teacher. He can't do that legally. So, and they're authentic through and through. Yeah. The teachers, the admin there says, you can't fire these teachers like that.
Right.
What are you doing? You're out of control. And Guillaume gets in his face and says, you're going to apologize for these people. This is very Shakespearean, very fatal flaw thing where this ego will take you down. Yeah. And Joe Clark is coming to terms with that. Mm. And Guillaume tells him, you're going to apologize. And Joe Clark says, I will not. And Guillaume turns to him and says, in case you forgot, I'm the head in charge. I'm the head. And I won't say the word. I don't want to get deleted on this. But it was really intense, and it was strong. And it's so refreshing to see teachers and admin clash like that, because it'll only make you better.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? As I was watching it, I just started thinking to myself, wow, could I see that happening today? No. And you mentioned that. The whole going, and you know what, one thing that was striking is that he walks into classes and he's yelling at the teachers. You know, and I'm like, what? I go, if that happened, that would, you know, of course we would take it to our union right away. And you know, his heart was in the place because he was charged to get that school in order. He was charged to get things straightened out there because they were going to be taken over by the state. And so he went in there with gangbusters. But then as he was, as he was doing it, sometimes he did some things that were just so, you just don't do. And he did them. And the teachers fought back. And you know what? And sometimes they took it. And, at the end, they were saying, you know what? Maybe we don't always like you, but we see what you're doing. We see that schools change. Malcolm Gladwell has this thing regarding about broken windows. You know, if you fix the broken windows, and is in his book, The Tipping Point, and you see that where he's having the graffiti painted over. They're fixing the school. It started to look like a school. At first, it looked like it was I don't know what that. It didn't look like a school. And
when you do the small things like fixing windows, painting walls, it will incentivize criminals from redoing it.
Yeah. And so you see that with the film where they do that. He does that, and things start changing, and you can't help but see the changes. And he gets rid of the drug dealers. He kicks them out. He says, "See you later." And today, I'm not sure if you could do that authenticity, but then he just said, "See, you guys are drug dealers." I was actually looking it up. He did kick out 300 people. This is accurate.
It is a very strong strategy in this sense. So if you're a teacher who wants to be assertive for a class that is, I'll be honest, I've come in to take care of business where a class is unruly and they drove out a teacher. I've been there. You've been there.
Yeah.
Way you do it, I'm sorry, is you make an example out of the kids who are absolutely destroying the environment. You say, you know what, you have a choice. I hope you step up to the plate. But if you don't, I'm going to have to do something I don't want to do. Joe Clark does that in front of the students who are committed to the environment, who are committed to doing the right thing. And it was powerful. You can do that as a teacher. It's a strong strategy. Another thing I want to say, so he expels them in front of the school. He doesn't do it privately. I know people will not like that, but you could see the other students saying that was, one girl says, "Mr. Clark don't play."
Yeah.
The other thing is that
he don't play.
This is right. The other thing is that the very beginning of the film, you see what a pro of a teacher he is. He's doing a trivial social studies game, and he's asking them questions, but behind him, one student is writing the scores of the team, scores on the board. Right. Another student is hitting the bow. Another student is bringing students up. And that is a pro, because I know it seems like a small thing when you have a kid writing the names of the points of the teams, but you get everybody involved doing something. You don't do everything.
Yeah.
And he included the content. He stopped the game and had them write vocabulary words down, started it up again. Really, you could tell he's a great teacher.
Yeah, he was. And, I think one thing I just wanted to share, because I was thinking about this film at the end, not only his teaching and his being administrator, but I was thinking about just even these characters. A lot of the main characters were African-American, and never in the film did you hear him say, well, they're African, race was never an issue. The superintendent, the mayor, they all worked together to try to solve this problem with students not reading at level, right? They're below level and so forth. They're trying to get the school numbers up, but never once was race brought up, and I thought, wow, that is so amazing. This is 1989, where you think that would be brought up, but it wasn't. And they were professional, and they were all professionals and very believable. They worked hard and just like anybody else. And it was just great to see that without having to make these comments, well, the race and so forth. If anything, Joe Clark would say, hey, you know what, we need to rise above this. We need to rise above where we're at. And people are going to look down on us, but you know what? And then he would look at even his white students and say, we're together. We're all in this situation, in this city, this town, and this school, and let's get up off our feet and do something good.
There was a moment, there's a running theme, or running, I don't want to say joke, but some kind of theme going on in the film where Joe Clark is obsessed with students learning the school song.
Yes.
And at one point, he asked them, he doesn't ask, you're going to learn the school song, and you're going to learn it in Spanish as well. So I do want to say this. It seems very trivial, but it is actually very important, that kind of thing, because it builds school culture. Students want to feel like they belong to something. They want to sing. It's another thing.
Yeah.
And It's also something that he includes multiple faculty in.
Mm-hmm.
You can you include the choir director in that. You include other people as opposed to just telling the students, learn the song. And I will just say this as a teacher in your school, your classroom environment, it's really important to bring in music, even if it's just playing music while the students walk in, or certainly including it in the content. It really makes the class pop a little bit.
For sure. Very good.
So we both highly recommend it. Tell us what you think about Lean On Me. And also, if you haven't done this, join our Pod and Deliver Facebook group. It's there. And comment below what you want us to review next. We're looking for ideas, and see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.